Imagine stumbling across a hidden gem tucked away in the corners of an old barn, a forgotten Toyota Landcruiser left to rot and gather dust on a farm for the past 6 years, just begging to be revived. So here we're in the barn currently, standing in front of the 1998 abandoned in a garage 105 series, has not been started for 5 years. In today's video, we tackle a massive challenge, driving over 4 hours to go and look at the car, fix the car, and drive the car 4 hours back home. But like every good adventure and every old car, it wasn't always smooth sailing.
Well, I noticed the voltage was dropping. The car cuts out now and then.
We begin our journey about half an hour south of Sydney, Australia, driving just north of a small town called Bulahdelah.
I hope this is the right.
I hope we're right too.
Wow. I mean, they're in here with Corollas and stuff, so
Yeah.
I don't know for sure if it's this place.
But we were in fact in the right place, and lying about 100 meters away from us was the glorious Landcruiser.
Oh, here it is, the old 105 series. Needs a very good clean. Tyres look alright, old, but not too bad. For the most part, it's actually quite dry here. It's a 4.5 litres straight 6 petrol, apparently the better of the two, and it has not been started for 5 years. It also has the key left in it. See if we can actually get into the car first.
Obviously, when a car has been sitting this long, you never know what kind of surprises lay inside or under the hood.
So this is probably the first time it's been opened, a long time. Oh my god, yeah. It is, oh, it stinks.
What does it smell like?
Mold and damp, but the key is in fact in there. Ooh. Does it make any noise? No. No noise. No lights come on, obviously, so we will keep the key in the ignition and pop the hood. Oh, that did not sound convincing.
Unfortunately, because this car had not been touched in 5 or 6 years, the bonnet was very stuck shut.
Well, there's our first problem. Dad's gonna pull up on it while I pull the latch. See? Pull. Nothing.
Is there something I'm missing here?
But little did we know, this was probably one of the hardest parts of this entire revival project.
Seems to be rusted. Very rusted. The cable must have stretched.
But with a little bit of persuasion, WD-40 and jumping up and down on it, we got this thing open.
Finally got it after about half an hour.
There is a bird's nest in there. Birds love to... Look,
Yeah.
there is a bird. That's probably what you heard, Mandy.
Mandy said it's a rat's nest.
Rats.
Yeah. Rats
Oh, there's some tools.
nice.
We need to clear that out because that's where the battery goes.
Is there a support to hold it open?
Well, they haven't chewed through any of the wires, which is nice. The coolant was still pressurized after 5 years.
Oh,
I just opened it and it hissed. And it's green. Look. So it was just done before we left it. There was a rat's nest kind of here, or a bird's nest or something. As you can see, we've taken all that out mostly. That's where the battery goes. It was right where the battery was because that was the perfect spot for a rat to nest. But all the wiring and insulation looks intact. Even the coolant hoses, like I said before, was pressurized still, so it means there's no leak in it. And, none of this wiring looks chewed through or anything. Might even still be washer fluid. All right, so we'll check if there's any oil in it. I mean, it hasn't obviously been run, but there's a bit of oil.
Does oil evaporate?
No, just leaks.
Obviously, we're going to properly service this car before we leave on our 4-hour journey home, but it is a Toyota, so it could probably run just fine with basically no oil.
So we've got the battery. Well, we have power. A light came on, so we've got power.
So the battery's in there.
Yeah, but we'll need to tighten them down just in case it shakes when we start it.
And now comes the moment you've all been waiting for. Will this abandoned Toyota Landcruiser that's been sitting in a barn for 6 years start first go?
Will the dash light up? Yep. Is there any fuel in it? Oh, it's full.
5-year-old fuel.
Make sure it's in neutral. 5-year-old fuel runs and drives. Probably, it's actually idling like perfect, but it's holding its revs. That is crazy. It's a little bit shaky, but otherwise it's alright.
So apart from the dashboard lighting up like a Christmas tree, this car ran like new, as if it rolled straight out of the factory. So now that it runs, will it drive? And will it drive 4 hours home under its own power?
I'd like to see if it rolls back and rolls forward. It's running so smooth. I don't get it. It's like it was turned off yesterday. The only problem is I don't think the alternator is working.
And surprise, surprise, as we found out later down the track, the alternator did in fact not work.
Which is a problem.
But a problem that I chose to blissfully ignore until it was too late.
Well, I noticed the voltage was dropping. The car cuts out now and then.
But we'll get back to that hiccup a little later in the video. For now, we had to make sure whether we could actually get the car out of the barn. And as you can see, it had no problem.
She's going to be surprised. The owners will be very surprised that it's actually moved out of the garage because they did not think it would at all within 20 minutes after we got the hood open.
That's amazing.
Like you turned it off yesterday. Started straight up.
Fantastic. Just absolutely amazing. I think we could ever go.
Believe it or not, this old Landcruiser is a one-owner car. It has not changed hands since 1998. And believe it or not, it had made it up here from Cronulla 5 or 6 years ago.
Cronulla 2014. So the owner of this actually lived right near us, very close to us before, and he drove it up here, and the last sticker on it is from Cronulla RSL 2014. You probably can't see it from that side.
That piece of information makes this story all the more special. We are returning this old Landcruiser back home to where it all started. So now, in order to stop this hood from getting jammed once again, I put a bunch of WD-40 in the hinge and hope for the best.
Oh,
What did you found?
a big rust hole. Luckily it's not structure, it's just the fender.
That's just
But
the fender.
So here she sits after a surprisingly quick attempt at starting it. We're going to leave it here overnight, and then we're coming back with temporary rego and stuff to service it as well. We actually do have the stuff in the car at the moment, but we're going to come back and service it tomorrow. Hopefully it's a little less wet, but yeah, she sits, she runs, she drives, she has a few lights on. To be honest, that was a lot faster and easier than I expected. Obviously we've got a bit of work to do tomorrow to make sure it runs and drives better and stays healthy, but there's not much wrong with it, apart from it being very dirty. A lot of surface rust underneath. This is about the only serious rust hole. It's pretty much eaten the whole fender corner, basically. But apart from that, runs and drives well, as you would have seen.
Tomorrow's objective was to service the Landcruiser and make it drivable in order to get it back to our Airbnb in Bulahdelah, roughly a 25-minute drive.
So we're back on day 2. We have to service the car. I'm going to move it from there. There was a lot of rain last night and it didn't slide down the hill, which is a good thing. So I guess the handbrake and it being in gear still is a decent combo. But we're going to bring it up there with the rental car, and if there's some flat ground we can service it there. There she is. Let's hope she starts today. Now if you're from Australia you would know you have to check any boots for spiders if you leave them outside, because it's very common to have spiders. Since we're in the light, do you want to show them how bad the inside is?
Yes. Let's show.
How bad the inside is.
It's living.
It is, yeah, practically
It's alive.
alive. Oh my god. So we sprayed some foam on the seats yesterday, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. There's mold everywhere. That's actually probably the best part of it, but oh. These are the back 2 seats, it looks like. These are stuck up, but they're all rusted. Look at that. I mean, they'll probably fold down, but
The nicest part is actually this
the
one.
nicest part is the tailgate. That's good that it folds down.
Almost.
Yeah, the back needs a very good clean. We left the battery unplugged last night, so we're going to plug it back in, pretty much see if it starts again, and get it up there to the flat ground and do an oil change on it. Perfect. Like new.
We did bring new spark plugs and a few other spare parts, but we decided not to tamper with it just in case anything broke further, stopping us from getting home.
So I'll take this chance to show you what the undercarriage looks like. As you can see, There is quite a bit of surface rust, but only on the front. The back looks pretty all right. These bushes look like they've been done. Everything else, nothing's cracked. These aren't cracked or anything. And even the steering rack looks all right, actually. Even this looks all right. They're not perished fully. I've seen better days, but they're all right, honestly. Overall, not too bad. This actually looks like it's been rust coated at some point. So it is a bit weepy of oil, so it's leaking a bit down, but I think that's just from rocker cover all the way down, which is good. That means it's pretty easy fix to that when we get home.
This engine is a 4.5 litre straight six, and apparently it takes about 7.3 litres of oil. So we got onto changing that as well as the oil filter.
Got 10 litres of oil. I believe this engine takes 7.3 litres. So obviously going to do our best to try and get that about right.
Once that was done, we got onto the mighty task of cleaning out the interior, just enough to drive home without absolutely suffocating from the smell.
The difference already, wow. Yeah. I mean, this was covered in shit, and it really just needs a good grime clean in those parts and on the dash and everything. We're going to get my 59-year-old mother.
Oh, do we need to tell my age?
Yes.
Definitely under 60.
Your old mother to change the blinker fluid on a 1998 Landcruiser. So you did a 6-week mechanical course when you were how old?
I was about 14.
So where was the blinker fluid in those old cars?
So you're asking me to remember
Yeah.
something that I have chosen to forget.
Blinker fluid is very important for a long trip, so.
Coolant, front window spray.
Washer fluid, yeah.
Washer fluid. Not there. Oil.
That's power steering.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it? Okay. I have no idea. I've forgotten.
It's a blinker fluid, so where do you think it would be?
Somewhere near the blinker, I would think.
Do blinkers need fluid to operate?
Well, I wouldn't think so. Why on earth would they need fluid
Yeah,
to
exactly. They
operate?
don't.
That's why you had me.
So we have the seats, the rear seats in. A lot has been cleaned up. So pretty much for being in the bush still without water or anything, pretty much the best you can get. I haven't done this side yet. You can see the kind of mold that's on this door panel as well. Absolutely disgusting.
Once we get home, we will give this car a very thorough clean. But for now, this is all we need to drive it.
All right, so this is the first little test drive properly down the street and back. So I'm gonna go down, do a U-turn and come back and we'll see. So now begins the hard part, actually getting this massive old girl home, about 400 kilometers home. Obviously she runs, she drives, we have temporary registration, so we're doing it fully legally. Now we just have to make it home. I'm going to go the least highway route possible because if this thing breaks down, I don't want to be stuck on the side of a highway. So we're going to fix up a few things at the farm and then we are going to head back to Bulahdelah for a night, and then tomorrow we're going to do the whole journey in one day and pray we don't break down.
It's adventures like these that make for some of the best memories. Taking a chance on a 30-year-old car to drive 4 hours home after sleeping for the past 6 years, and celebrating the little victories along the way.
Today is the big day. We're doing the first 4 hour, pretty much the longest trip that this car's done in 6 years home to the Sutherland Shire. Hopefully it makes it. It made it about 25 minutes from where it was stored to our Airbnb last night. So did well, didn't have any problems. It also made it up to the pizzeria and back last night. So far so good. But here she is, a little bit cleaned up. We have the seats covered, but they are actually all right. All the mold on the doors is gone. It's just a lot of grime in the carpet. And to be honest, the worst part about it is the smell. The smell is shocking, like it smells like piss, the whole car.
But despite my optimism, about 45 minutes into our trip, the inevitable happened. The car completely switched off on the middle of the highway.
Well, we had our first mishap. The battery completely unhooked, so got a DIY solution with sports tape. Hopefully that holds for a bit longer.
The battery we had put in was a lot larger than the original one and wasn't able to be secured down properly. So after this DIY fix, we thought we had solved the problem. But unfortunately, the Landcruiser wanted to give up one more time.
Well, I noticed the voltage was dropping and the car cuts out now and then, so I don't know what to do.
We had pulled off the highway near a small town called Raymond Terrace. This was the only street right near where I noticed the issue was starting to occur. Then I remembered what we discovered earlier.
The only problem is I don't think the alternator is working.
I don't think the alternator is working.
The alternator's not working anymore.
Because the voltage had stayed stable the entire trip, I didn't believe it was a major issue, but that decision had just caught up with us, and the Landcruiser was now dead on the side of the road, 200 k's from home. But we weren't going to give up that easy. We rang the nearest Repco and found that they had one alternator in stock for our 105 series, but we were still unsure whether it was bad wiring due to that rat living under the hood or it was in fact the actual alternator. But thankfully a local mechanic offered to loan us a battery so we could get it to his shop. That way we could test if the alternator was actually charging or not. So a massive thank you to LA Auto and Motorsport in Raymond Terrace. He actually offered to swap out the alternator in about 15 minutes to save us from doing it on the side of the highway. And just like that, the Landcruiser was back in action.
Back on the road. So we've made it another hour and a half, no problems yet. Hopefully, the last little bit we can manage. No issues yet.
And about an hour later, we made it all the way back home without any more breakdowns.
It's actually a very good car. Made it all the way. But the neighbours are going to hate us.
Oh, just another car to add to your collection.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to see what we end up doing with this Landcruiser. But thanks so much for following along and watching our journey. Comment below what you think the first mod on this car should be.